black thing go from left to right, and I thought, I'm going to die out here. No one's ever going to know. I couldn't believe what my eyeballs were showing me. I'll never forget how evil the eyes were. It was horrible. I mean, I've never seen nothing that evil.
It ran towards me at a rate that I can't even explain. Turned and stared at me, and this look of, I just want to kill you. I want to say it was human, but it wasn't.
He was yelling at me to grab a gun, grab a gun. I was like, for what? He said, just grab a gun. And there's footprints all the way to the door of my house. It had went inside my garage, all the way to the door.
911, what are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Zia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. Check us out online at SasquatchChronicles.com. If you've had an encounter, email me. My email address is wes@SasquatchChronicles.com. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you tonight. Going to be welcoming Ginger to the show. And Ginger had a very, very interesting encounter. I believe it was 1978. I'll ask her when she comes on the show about running into one of these creatures. And she'd got out to pee and actually was within feet of one of these creatures. And it's interesting when she talks about her encounter, the impression she got from the creature. And it goes to show you how unpredictable these creatures can be. Sometimes they might be aggressive, sometimes they're not. I think it really depends on the type of creature, the mood it's in, how you react. A lot of factors go into, I think, how some of these encounters turn out. Not everyone has an aggressive, angry type of an encounter, but that's why I love this show, because you get to talk to so many different people of all walks of life, and they'll talk about their encounter and their impression and what happened when they ran into the creatures. And most of the encounters aren't friendly encounters. I don't think that these things really truly enjoy human contact, but I think that in some situations they won't be aggressive, depending on, again, how you react. But it's always fascinating to talk to people and kind of get a picture of these things. And I really hope one day we can solve this, put all the puzzle pieces together, and know exactly what we're going after. I know some people, when I was on the Vault of Nightmares, they asked me if I thought it was Gigantopithecus, which I don't. I don't believe that it is. But, again, at the end of the day, I don't have one in my garage I'm studying. That's why I truly enjoy talking to witnesses. I'll also be talking to Randy. And Randy was on the show, almost 100 episodes ago, if my memory's right. He was out one night. He had actually run right into the creature, knocked him back on his butt, and then his clothes stunk, everything stunk. And it was a very interesting account. And I remember when Randy was on the show, he didn't want to talk to his wife about it. He didn't want his wife to be nervous. He didn't want his kids to know about it. He just wanted to kind of forget this happened, and he wanted to move out of the home. And I always find that fascinating, how husbands and wives don't talk to each other when they have these things on their property. You would think that they would, but in reality, I've talked to so many different husbands, for example, that don't want their wives to know about it, don't want their kids to know about it. Or I've talked to housewives that have seen them during the day and don't want to talk to their husbands about it because they feel like their husbands are going to think they're nuts or they're crazy. So it is more common than you would think that husbands and wives don't talk. But now she's his ex-wife, and he finally decided to tell her what happened that night. And her reaction was very, very interesting. She knew full well about these creatures. Interesting stuff tonight. I really hope you guys enjoy the show. Let's jump into it. My first guest is Ginger. Ginger, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And if you would, for the audience, you had a very interesting encounter when you were younger, and it was in Colorado. If you would kind of start from the beginning and tell the audience what you were out doing and what happened.
Well, I grew up, we four-wheeled all the time, and we went four-wheeling. We were in Silverton, Colorado, and we were going over a pass called Stony Pass, and it's still there, and it's a little bit easier to get over. We went over it this last summer. It's easier to get over now than it was back then because it took us like 12 hours to get over it the last time, and this summer it only took us about 6. So it's easier. I think they've worked on the pass. Either that or our vehicle's better. But anyway, it's a long pass. It apparently years ago was a mail route that they used to send a horse over the mountain to carry the mail from Lake City over to Silverton, and it's a grueling pass. Anyway, we've just peaked the top of the mountain. We just got over the top, and I told my dad I needed to go to the bathroom, and my mom said she did too. So I said, when you hit trees, Daddy, I was just 11, and I said, when you hit some trees, stop so I can go pee-pee. And so he stopped as soon as we got to the first patch of trees, and me and my mom went uphill, and my dad and my brother went downhill. And when we got uphill, we heard a lot of talking, and I heard men, women, children. We heard clacking, sticks. We heard all kinds of noise. It sounded like hikers. It sounded like people kicking rocks and hiking, and I assumed that the road switched back above where we were, and that, so my mom, we both looked at each other and said, hikers. And Mom said, shh, so they don't see us pee-pee. And so we just went about our business and really didn't notice that it got quiet, but the talking did stop. I guess we just figured the hikers had walked off. I didn't think about it, but while I was standing up, zipping up my pants, I saw bare feet standing in front of me. And my eyes went up, and I noticed the shins and some ashy, dirty knees, and I went straight up to the face from there. And they're standing straight in front of me, not more than 20 feet in a clear open, hands down by her side, staring at me, and glanced at my mom, but looked right back at me, and we made eye contact, and we never separated eye contact. And that's when it started looking at me like it was so sorry, and started like apologizing in its expression. I'd grown up with deaf people, and I know sign language, and I also know that deaf people use a lot of facial expressions because they can't express with their voice. And this was the same way. This was making so many facial expressions at me. Being 11 years old and not being so bright, I went into interpret mode. I started trying to interpret what it was saying. And it was looking like it was saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt y'all. Like, I'm getting out of here, just, I'm sorry. And about that time, my mom, who was about 20 feet behind me, she screamed for it to go on, get away, get out of here or something. I think she said, leave us alone or something like that. And when she screamed that, it sidestepped behind a pine tree. And that's when I got a notice of the thighs and big, thick booty. And that's when I saw it step behind the tree. Well, I turned, and my mom was already running back down to the Jeep. And I took off after her, and my dad was on his way up when he heard my mom scream to see who she had screamed at. And we couldn't find any sign of anything. At that point, there was nothing there. We looked around. Of course, we didn't know me and my mom were yelling, we saw Bigfoot. We saw Bigfoot. We had never seen it except for on TV. This was in 1978. But we knew immediately. My dad's a gunsmith, and we're avid hunters and outdoor people, four-wheelers, just anything outdoors I've done my whole life. Never home on the weekends. And camp. Still to this day, we love to go four-wheeling and camp and all that stuff. But I haven't had another encounter. I want one. But this was a peaceful encounter. But after my mom screamed, it stepped behind the tree, and we never saw it again. And we went looking. We went straight back up there to show my dad where it was. I guess with having my dad there, I wasn't scared. I don't know why we weren't scared. But I'm not sure if it's because I felt like my daddy was my protector and come see Daddy, I don't know why I wasn't scared.